The Flight from France, a Huguenot's journey to Werrington. What kind of God puts my prayers above your prayers? Not my God. What kind of God seeks to massacre men, women, and children in a barn at prayer? Not my God. What kind of God drives people out of their homeland as heretics? Not my God. Does your God demand the blood of others? Is your God not willing to sacrifice their own blood for peace? Pack your bags. We are leaving in the night under the blackness of a dark moon. Leave everything, your house, your furniture, your bed, your mattress of horsehair. Leave your love of your land, your soil, your dirt, your vineyards, your bread oven. Leave your wooden bowls and spoons. Take the few pieces of silver, the pearl necklace that belonged to your mother, your best woolen cape, your linen bonnet and apron, your petticoat. Anything that you can wear and layer you can bring on this journey under the black moon. Ride the black horse. He can carry 3 of us. He is strong. We can sell him in Calais or Le Havre. The boat for Plymouth sails in 3 days. When the fear arises from the pit of your stomach, in knots wound so tightly around your intestines that you vomit the fear, roll in the dirt. For the guard dogs of Guise, the guard dogs funded by Mendoza's men, will sniff you out. Get into the boat. I don't want to get into the boat. Get into the boat. What if I drown? What if my woolen skirts drag me down? What if I scream and I can't breathe? Get into the boat. I get into the boat and immediately heave salt black bile. We are under sail. I pray and I pray and I pray. We will be delivered into God's hands, wherever that may reside. Not here in this black water, not here in this thick tar barrel, not here in this cramped hull. It is green in Werrington. We have a farm. We plant corn and barley. We have a cow that I milk. I weave cloth to sell at the market, and up at the big house, the lady smiles as I tell her about the fine silks that my cousins could weave on their looms. My son Isaac has a new bonnet. The sky is blue, and we can pray our way quietly, just in case the guard dogs can still catch our fear on the wind. So that was a poem written from the perspective of my ancestral grandmother, who was from the Benoit family, the Benoys, who were French Huguenot Protestants in the 1500s through to the 1600s, and they lived in the area of France that was under the rule of the powerful Guise family. And the ambassador to England, the ambassador for Spain, the court of King Philip, who was a spy in the court of Queen Elizabeth I, who tried to plot against her and bring her down. When his plots were uncovered, he was kicked out of England and sent to France to be the ambassador there. And that's when he started to fund the anti-Protestant League to really persecute and eliminate any Protestants in France. And he was from the great noble house of Mendoza, who were a Basque noble family that really traces its lineage back to the 11th, 12th, 13th centuries, and they became a very powerful family, and they had many branches, and eventually they were warriors. They took part in crusades and battles across Europe, and many of their branches then became involved in the settlements and the invasion and the colonization of the New World. And so the House of Mendoza, their descendants, came to Colombia. And I have a connection with the House of Mendoza. And since that connection has come about, this whole storyline, I had traced my family tree on the Benoit side. My grandmother used to talk about the Benoys, as their name came, how they had fled France and they had settled in Devon, which is now, this part of Devon is now in on the Cornish side, and they had established themselves there. And for many years, I was trying to trace the family back to France and their origins in France, and I just had a block. My brother had tried to do the same, but in the last 6 months, in fact, just this summer, somehow this story came through, and I just got all the records came through on Ancestry, and then I found the history of Don Bernadino Mendoza, who was the Spanish ambassador to the court of Queen Elizabeth, and who was responsible for directly funding the persecution of my Huguenot family and the other Huguenots, and thousands of people were slaughtered and massacred in France. And so my family were migrants in exile, political migrants, asylum seekers, and we still have people today crossing the channel in small boats. And across the world, people are fleeing persecution and terror and violence. And when is it going to end? But the power for me in doing this pilgrimage, it started in London. I traced the family steps. I found their graves in Plymouth. I found the village where they lived. I know my family history, and now I go back to France. And part of this journey here to Colombia, for me, is part of the pilgrimage, and is part of that reconciliation and that healing. And this day, this last day, as I'm here in the Castillo in Medellin, I've read this poem for this first time. I've recorded this poem for the first time, and it feels very powerful to have been able to do that. And I know the ancestors are happy, and this has been a journey of forgiveness, real forgiveness, ancestral forgiveness. And we have to do this. For those of us that can do this, we have to do this work. It is really, really important. So thank you for listening, and that's a piece of ancestral history transmuted through poetry, I hope.